Welcome to Michael Potts F1, every moment from every Grand Prix.
Michael, how are you today?
Very good, thank you. Yeah, that Hungarian Grand Prix was quite a race. And lots going on. We have to talk about your prediction.
I'm going to go with Lando, Oscar, George,
You got the thing 100% right. That was amazing.
and I had 100% inaccurate prediction prior to that. So I was very happy with the Charles, Oscar, and George prediction. It wasn't looking good actually after qualifying. I was like, oh, another one that I got wrong. It actually turned out great. When we did the race preview, you said it was going to be interesting because it wasn't going to be as hot as it normally is, and it was a cooler weekend, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was much cooler. There was a little bit of a rain around. It always felt like there was a lot of weather about to happen. And it was probably around about 25, 26, 27 degrees Celsius. And usually it's in the high 30s, early 40s. So quite different to what we normally have. But yeah, it's becoming a track that produces phenomenally good or interesting weekends. Pretty much all of the Hungarian Grand Prix that we've had recently have been amazing. So much going on. And it used to be a track which was terrible. I mean, it was one of the most boring tracks. They call it Monaco without the walls because it was a procession. Whereas Spa has become quite boring, Hungaroring is one of the most exciting races on the calendar now.
Oh, it was very exciting. I think it first started with how unpredictable quali was. Lewis out early, Yuki out early, and then it looked like the McLarens were, going to be on the front row again. And then all of a sudden, apparently some wind happened. It affected the car. They didn't produce their laps in Q3. And then Charles is on pole. And his radio message when he was on pole, he was surprised. I remember he went, "What? Mamma mia!" And he was shocked. But it was nice to see Ferrari. And I couldn't believe it was their first pole this entire season so far.
Yeah, they've been so strong in the past few years, and this year they've been nowhere. And I think that kind of gave Lewis all that extra pressure because he was knocked out so early, and seeing his teammate on pole, knowing that that was in the car, and he couldn't find a way of extracting it. I think that really hurt him.
His press conferences this weekend were one word responses. He looked so down. He was essentially blaming himself for his poor performance. And I think he needs these 3 weeks to almost like reset, go offline, just, come back stronger for the Dutch Grand Prix.
One thing that was very impressive, no matter how bad things are with him and how bad his performances are at the moment, he still had time to chat to Kimi. So Kimi went and visited him on race day and got a bit of a pep talk from Lewis in the Ferrari motorhome. And seeing him still able to give encouragement to others, even though he's feeling so bad, is a huge testament to what an amazing person he is. I thought Kimi did well. I mean, he had a bad qualifying, but he managed to come back and get that last point, and I think that was important for him for the season.
Definitely. I know you said that it's Monaco without the walls and it's tough to pass. I think all of the passes that were done were primarily on the main straight going into the first turn, but at least there were a lot of opportunities. And, Charles was so upset in the car with whatever, the issue was that he was dealing with. It seemed like the first stint was great. And then, I don't know, George made a subtle accusation that Ferrari are maybe cheating when it comes to the floor and something with the aerodynamics. And his suspicion is that they had to then put different tire pressures on, different downforce that made it undrivable for Charles. All of this, George's speculation, but it does sound a little fishy.
Yeah, well, it was a huge performance difference mid-race. Charles was leading the Grand Prix for a very long time. He was on pace with the McLarens. Oscar couldn't find a way past, and he was looking really good. And then he just dropped right off. I can't remember what he finished, but it must have been about 20 seconds at least behind the leaders. And that was all in that last stint. It was very surprising. And I didn't hear the radio messages during the Grand Prix, but I saw a few of them afterwards, and there's a lot of crypticness going on there. Also, good weekend for George. He now doesn't have that pressure of Max taking his seat anymore. Max has been confirmed at staying at Red Bull. And now that that pressure's off, George seems to be flourishing. Back on the podium for the first time for quite a few races. And he's in a very strong position with his negotiating for his next year contract. He's seen off all his competition, and he's now biding his time to sign the documents. So we'll see when that gets announced.
Definitely. I mean, he now has leverage, he's performing well, and I'm sure he's wanting to negotiate for more dollars. So, power's in his court now, ball's in his court. So what did you think, Michael, about the McLaren boys and their fight for the win?
Wow, that was quite spicy. So last year, Lando was given the preferred strategy, and he was second on the grid and came to take the race lead because of the strategy, and McLaren got him to switch back. This year, a similar sort of thing happened, but he kind of lucked into that preferred strategy, and he drove brilliantly to make that strategy work. And they didn't ask the two drivers to switch. So were they right before, or were they right now, or are the two scenarios completely different? What do you think?
I think that they're different. I mean, the last time around, if I recall correctly, it was because they couldn't double stack, and so they had to let, one driver out on track. This time, Lando screwed up. He tried to go for the gap on at the start. Oscar pushed him wide. He then lost out. And so, honestly, at the beginning, I'm like, oh, another bad race start for Lando, and he's not going to get there from P5. And then I think he even kind of gave up because when he got asked, do you want to go in the hards? He was like, sure, why not? Like so nonchalant. And the one stop strategy ended up being the winning strategy. I think most of the people who did the one stop actually benefited from track position and did well. Like Aston Martin's another team that finished the race, in the points. I think it was totally different. And McLaren have made, I think, more of an effort this year to come out and say, we are going to give both drivers the best chance at the Drivers' Championship within our control. And of course, as a result, we will hopefully win as a team. So I think it was two different situations.
I was at the pit entry when the first car stopped for tires, and I saw Charles and Oscar going in, and Lando just stayed out. And I was lining up to get a shot of him coming in a few laps later. He never came in. Lined up again to see another shot of him coming in. And I probably wasted about 5 or 6 laps waiting on him to come in, and he just never did. And just stayed out and kept on going and going and going. And I was convinced that he was doing something crazy because it looked like the undercut was more powerful. So the people who stopped sooner had better position. Not when you turn it into a one stop. You get all of that time back. And the last 15 or so laps when Oscar was closing him down, that was brilliant to watch. Oscar was pushing so hard. He ran wide a few times. It didn't seem to slow him down. He was catching Lando like hand over fist, and it looked like he was going to breeze past, but Lando drove brilliantly to keep him behind. It was a very, very exciting race.
I think, in recent memory, this might be one of Lando's best wins on total merit without any safety car luck or, something happening else on track, like benefiting him. To drive more than half the race, I think it was 39 laps on a 70-lap race on the hard tire, is incredible. And not to mention, he's doing essentially quali pace, try to keep Oscar behind for almost all of those 39 laps. I mean, in his interview after, he was like, I am dead. I never hear Lando or any driver talk about how dead they are unless it's Singapore. And so that level of concentration to not mess up and then maintain the tires to get you to the end, I thought it was a really, really good race on Lando's side.
Yeah, no, you're right. It was one of the wins that he's had to work so hard for. And you could see it when he won, when he celebrated. I gave him a bit of a hard time a few races ago for not celebrating with enough passion. But this time you saw he had that passion. He jumped out of the car, he punched the air, he punched it again and again, and yeah, that was brilliant. And there was also a very cute moment on the stage where just before the champagne was sprayed, he went and moved his trophy out of the way, and then he saw Oscars was just lying there, so he moved that one as well. A few years ago, he managed to break Max's trophy celebrating on the podium. So yeah, that was quite cute.
It was.
Well, after he broke Max's, the Hungarians who make those trophies, a huge amount of effort goes into them. They're all hand painted. I can't remember how many man hours it goes into it, but it's a vast amount of effort to create those. And they invited both Max and Lando to come round to the factory, and they did a whole tour and they saw how painstaking it was. And I think Lando got a new earned respect for the work that they do on those. They're made by a company called Heron. And his whole helmet was a Heron designed one-off helmet. Oscar last year when he won was clutching onto his trophy on the podium to make sure that no one broke it. So yes, so the sort of trophy preservation is becoming quite a thing now at Hungarian Grand Prix.
Well, I think also because Lando's celebration style is he slams the champagne bottle onto the podium to get, I guess, all the fizziness happening. And so it's like having like a bomb go off. Michael, what did you think about some of the midfield teams that perform well? Aston Martin and Gabby at stake.
Yeah, very impressed. Well, so Aston had a disastrous spa, and then all of a sudden they looked like they were right in the mix for this one. So they have been making lots of changes over the course of the year, and they've always struggled to bring upgrades mid-season. And now it seems to be working better. So maybe with Adrian there, their processes are getting a little bit more refined. But it was a really good result. And to see both cars up there as well was very impressive. And Gabby just gets stronger and stronger.
Yes, no, I am so happy for him. I know you were extremely bullish on Gabby, saying that he is going to be the rookie of this generation. And it didn't really look that way in the beginning, but now it seems like he's found confidence. The car is clicking for him. He's out qualifying Nico now in most races. So it's great to see his confidence growing and him to be, I think, P6 in Hungary this race. So great momentum going into the back half of the year.
Yeah. And it's a very good thing for Sauber because this year they had to prove that they could bring upgrades mid-season. They had to prove that they could get all their processes right, so their pit stops, their strategy, and all that sort of stuff ready for when they become Audi. Last year, none of that was working. They were having these disastrous pit stops. They would pit at the wrong time. They'd bring upgrades that just wouldn't work. And they're now showing that they can do all of those things. So hopefully, when they become Audi, they'll be in a much stronger position next year.
It seems like it's a very happy race, and they also had that really beautiful new structure that they built for the team garages. I saw that in a lot of your photos. It looks massive. I heard it can fit 2,000 people.
Yeah, it's huge. So it's a new pit building, paddock club, and in theory, a media center. But it is going to be an amazing space. It wasn't fully finished inside, but it is a stunning state-of-the-art facility. And they've also built the stand opposite is also new. So lots of changes.
Nice. Well, that one is one I'm going to be targeting for next year because I've heard it's a great atmosphere. It's a great city. And with all the new facilities, I mean, got to go check it out.
Yeah, the Budapest race is really one of the finest on the calendar. You stay in Budapest, an amazing nightlife, and it's 20 minutes to the track. 100% must do for anyone who's a Formula One fan. Thank you everyone for joining us for this video. I do hope you've enjoyed it. There's some more photographs from the race in the description below and some links to Milkshake and all their content. And there will be some more content coming through the summer break, so do stay tuned for that. But until the next one, goodbye.